Web3, again, no spaces, no .o, is not the name for the next version of the web. It's a very specific vision for one possible future for the web with a very specific origin. Understanding where this idea comes from helps us understand the promises it's making and trying to fulfill. The root of Web3 ideology is all about power, specifically taking power away from large centralized entities like banks, social media platforms, and web services, and handing that power over to the individual user. This will, according to Web3 supporters, be achieved by placing all data on distributed decentralized blockchains and decentralized storage, and turning all financial transactions into transactions on that blockchain. Because the blockchain is decentralized and decisions are made by consensus, the argument goes there's no longer a need for centralized authority with power. In fact, centralized power can't exist in this decentralized future. Instead, everyone has power and everyone has control over the assets that live on the chain. The idea of Web3 is very much a pushback against surveillance capitalism. It's a real-world manifestation of the feeling of powerlessness in people who have grown up in a digital world dominated by so-called free services who collect every bit of data and use it to manipulate the users through ads and recommendation algorithms. It's also a manifestation of what I call a techno-utopian libertarian view of the world, where every problem can be solved if we just throw enough technology at it, and the biggest problem of all is moderation and regulation. Bitcoin, the first true decentralized cryptocurrency, grew out of the 2008 financial crisis. Its creators saw how centralized banks were able to speculate with other people's money, crash the entire banking system, and then run away with the profits while regular people suffered the consequences. What if we build a global currency bypassing the entire banking system, they thought? And what if we make it impossible to track how much money anyone has or who they trade money with? That way, governments have no control over money and everyone is free to do whatever they want. The decentralized blockchain is a technology built on laissez-faire capitalism and meritocratic rule, and this way of thinking permeates through the entire Web3 ideology. It's important to understand two key characteristics of this ideology. First, everything becomes a transaction stored forever on an immutable ledger, the blockchain. And second, everything on the blockchain has tradable value because it is on the blockchain. On the proposed Web3, every transaction on the web, from uploading a file to posting a social media status update to making a payment or an appointment or checking your health records, ends up as a transaction or token on the chain, and each transaction and token has potential value. Creating these tokens takes energy, which is paid in cryptocurrencies. Earning cryptocurrencies is done by verifying and adding new blocks to the chain. The entire Web3 ecosystem is centered around turning everything into a securitized token, a tradable asset, and assigning a value to that asset. The promise of Web3 is to re-engineer the entire web ecosystem to be built on blockchain technology and make the distributed blockchain the single source of truth for everything we do on the web, from social media posts to finance to property deeds to medical records. Which is why, as I write this, the same venture capitalists and platforms and banks Web3 promises to take power away from are pouring billions of dollars into building Web3. In this proposed future, the blockchain will be the most valuable data source in the world, and access to what is on the blockchain and control over what goes in the next block will be where the true power lies.